Hi, I'm Kristi Ray, and you're watching The 13th Wolfman.
Hey everyone, I'm the 13th Wolfman. I have back the most wonderful guest. You've known her from Pieces of Talent, but since then she's been slowly blowing up all over the place. Kristi Ray is back. Welcome back, Kristi.
Thanks, Wolfie. Hey, guys.
So, like I said, you're blowing up all over the place. You've got a couple of movies that you've completed. Karma Shadow. Though the one I want to jump right in on though is the short you did with Bill Frost.
Okay, cool.
This looks like a fun shoot.
We had a couple days in Raleigh, and it was very cold, and we're inside of this really creepy warehouse. So it was, a lot of fun. Definitely like on the indie level, kind of how I like to get all gritty and dirty and scared acting in warehouses. It's sort of my niche in doing movies. But yeah, it was really a cool little piece to work on. We had some great cinematography. Arvin, I've worked with him before, actually, in my very first movie, a feature called The Virgins. I worked with our DP, so it was kind of like this full circle moment. It had been 8 years since that happened, so we got to shoot that. It looks really beautiful. Bill's great to work with. His magic tricks are really just pretty mind-blowing, so that was fun. And I don't know if you saw the trailer or the teaser or anything.
I did see the trailer when I think you and Bill both posted it on Facebook, and I fell in love with this. I wanted to see this full movie then.
Cool. Yeah. Well, so you saw the water tank. That was my favorite part of filming. I was actually kind of nervous shooting that scene, honestly. I made the mistake of, I guess for anybody who doesn't know, the movie's about a magician who's into dark magic, and so he's doing the show, and my character is a young aspiring actress who just finished with grad school. She's going to New York to be, on Broadway and that sort of thing, but she's interested in coming to see this magic show. She hears a lot of buzz about it, and she ends up meeting, the guy. I forget his name in the movie. Max is his name. I always want to call him Bill because Bill is actually a magician in real life too. So he's kind of playing himself a little bit, which is interesting. So Sally meets Max, and he invites her to go show her some real magic in this, scary, creepy warehouse, typical horror film. And he puts her in a tank. And you see all this in the trailer, right? And so we're filming in this water tank, and it's actually going to fill up with water, and there's all these gags that we're doing. And I won't tell you exactly what happens, but I made the mistake on the day that we were going to shoot this scene to go watch footage from other actresses who had been in these water tanks, like Amy Adams in that movie Now You See Me, I think it's called. And then there were a couple other people who had had doing this sort of scene. And I was reading about them getting all...
So you thought it was smart to freak yourself out before you got in the tank?
I don't know what I was thinking. I was trying to prepare myself as best as I could professionally, but basically I decided we're going to have a code word, and it's not going to be help, really help, get me out of here, because that's something that any character that was stuck in a water tank would actually say. And that's what happened to a lot of these girls who had, safety people. They were on these big SAG sets and everything, but they were acting, and everyone thought they were just acting when they weren't. They were actually stuck and drowning.
Right. So you need a word a word like Budapest.
Yeah, or goat, I think was the word that we picked. And we had some really neat malfunctions that happened with the water tank that actually added to the production value, I think. So when you see the film, you'll get to see the water looked kind of murky, and it wasn't clear like they had planned, but I think it added to just the fear element in the film, which, I mean, it was pretty gross for me to be in this gross, murky water with some kind of weird foam in it for several hours, and it was really cold, but, I'm a trooper, and we worked it out and filmed way into the night, but I think the footage is definitely worth it. It looks really, really neat.
And when does this come out?
So it should premiere, hopefully, in my hometown where I live in Wilmington, at Cucaloris. But we haven't gotten word yet if it's accepted. The submission deadline was like back in June, and I think that they give out their like first selections later this week. So we should hear pretty soon. But if it's not in the festival, it'll be sometime in the fall then. It'll probably be in North Carolina. We'll do like a screening, and then it'll be released, I'm sure, like on demand in some way on the internet. So we'll send you a copy. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, I'm not worried. I know I'm going to get to see it somehow.
So how do you know Bill? Have you had him on the show?
No, actually, I when you put that up on Facebook, I liked it, and then he contacted me.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Good network connection there. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He's got a couple projects in development right now. I think he's working on a feature script that's about a writer, like a horror author, and I've read parts of it. He sent it to me when I was up in Maine filming White Drift, which is a nice way into our other movie that I know you want to talk about because it's about a werewolf.
Oh yeah, it's a movie after my own heart. Yeah. I've always been in love with the werewolves, and I want to hear about this.
So Corey Norman and Haley Norman, I met on the Pieces of Talent tour when Joe Stoffer and I went all over in these conventions last year to tour the movie. And I think it was like one of the first film festivals that Pieces of Talent played at was called Nevermore, and it was in North Carolina in February. And I saw a short film that I thought was really great, and it was called Tickle. And it's like a 1980s throwback to VHS horror. It was like really classic, really kind of like vintage outfits and just this like sort of cheesy, hokey, practical effects kind of feel, but it was really well done. It was like just tight edit, really good, camera work. It didn't look like it was obviously shot on VHS or anything like that, but really good piece, and it stuck with me for a while. Like I remember really liking it. And several months later, I met these two filmmakers. They're married. Their names are Corey and Haley Norman. And I met them at one of the cons. And we just hit it off right away. And we were like table buds, when you have like a booth at the conventions, they're just right next to us at every single one we'd go to. And they kept saying, come make it to my screening, come make it to our screening. And you're just so busy at those things. Like I didn't make it to see their movie until maybe the third or fourth convention we were at together. And as I'm standing in line and I find out what the name of the film is, it's called Tickle. I'm like, you guys, I've seen this movie. I already love it. I watched it, in February before I even met you when you guys weren't there in North Carolina. And so already a fan of their work. Then we vowed to work together on something. And it took almost a year, but they contacted me earlier this spring about a script, and they offered me the female lead role in a werewolf film that they were producing. And it's called White Drift. And so they flew me up to Maine, and we shot it in July, and it was so much fun. I'm telling you, these people are one of the best groups of filmmakers I've had the pleasure of working with. They were just so professional, so pleasant. They have a phenomenal crew of guys and girls that work under them, and they're just like this well-oiled machine. It was really awesome to step into. Plus, I'd never been to Maine, so that was just gorgeous to go up there and get to see lighthouses. And I ate my first lobster, and they took me around, and we went to all the lakes and that kind of thing. So I had a really good kind of little vacation there while I was filming too. But the coolest part about this movie is that it's also like a practical effects werewolf film. So it's like the VHS kind of throwback. It's really classic horror. They spent $8,000 building this gorgeous monster. He's got like animatronics, his eyes move and his teeth snarl, and you pull the tree, and it's like ferocious in your face. And looking at it from far away, it's like, wow, that's super scary. It looks like an actual werewolf. But when we're filming like the up close scenes, they've got the camera, all in tight here, and it's me. Obviously, like I'm the girl, I'm getting attacked by the werewolf. I can probably tell you that much. Hope I'm not giving anything away, but that's kind of, maybe gonna happen. There was some gore, definitely, and here, and there's teeth, and these teeth are sharp because we did a scene where it's like getting you right here, and I had like some puncture wounds a little bit. super fun, really awesome shoot. The wolf is really scary, and the guy that was in it was jumping all around, doing all this crazy stuff. I was like kind of terrified of this thing. It's not something you'd want to find in a costume closet that you didn't know was there, you know? We had a really good time. It's going to look great. I'm super excited about it. And it actually premieres this Friday at Horror Hound in Indianapolis on the 9th, right? That's Friday, I think. September 9th at 9 p.m. So that's easy to remember, 999. And I won't be there, but I hope everyone who's going to be at Horror Hound really likes the movie.
Oh, please go and check this. Please go check this movie out if you're going to Horror Hound. I mean, there's to find a good throwback werewolf practical effects movie is hard to find nowadays because they just want to throw CGI in there. You know, it's like, hey, look, we could make them do it this way. It's like, yeah, but there's a whole lot to it.
Into this. Also, the other actors in the movie are really intense, really phenomenal actors to work with. There's only a few characters in the movie, but it's based around a young soldier who came back from Afghanistan. He was in the army, and he's come back to this small town in Maine looking for an old friend. And he ends up encountering my character, who is a young waitress at like a local diner. This is like a tiny little town. It's kind of like Charlotte, you know, a small town waitress. It's like typecast, right? You just keep playing the same part.
when I was looking at the pictures you sent, it kind of reminded me of True Blood.
Oh yeah, I've never watched the show.
So they're like a little small town in Louisiana, and all these weird things happen. You know, and you basically, you know, it's like, oh, so she's kind of like the Sookie, you know, the Anna Paquin of the.
Oh, girl, I love her with the cool teeth, and she's like the blonde girl. Yeah, she's great. I've seen her in things like in the 90s, but I've never watched True Blood. I don't have a TV, so I don't get HBO or anything. But it's definitely got that really good small towny feel, and then the big thing happens in the small town, you know. And my character's pretty compassionate, and she becomes interested in this guy, not really romantically, just kind of like wanting to help him out because he's this drifter, and everybody's like judging him, and this weird guy, you know, he looks like he's kind of like coming off drugs or something. Well, you know, come to find out, he's not just battling with PTSD and things like that. He's
got a curse.
And all these things. So there's a really neat twist at the end that I'm not going to talk about, but you'll have to watch the movie and tune in to see what happens.
Okay, so let's go to the next movie.
Okay.
Beyond the Living.
My favorite. I'm so excited about this. We've been working on it for an entire year. On my Facebook feed, it keeps doing that time hop thing, you know, 1 year ago today, 1 year ago today. So I keep getting these flashback memories. And basically in the movie, I wear the same thing the whole time because we're hikers that are hiking the AT. It's like it's a psychedelic kind of psychological art house thriller movie about these three best friends who are hiking the Appalachian Trail. And it's been like 3 months. So we just wear the same thing in almost every scene, you know, switch it up, like take the shirt off, put it back on, put on the sweatshirt, that kind of thing. But basically, it's like we did half of the movie last year in the fall and the other half this summer in the beginning of the summer. But it was like having deja vu because we're in the same trails, wearing the same things. All of us like looked and felt exactly the same. It was just like a big reunion. So we had a really good time on the second run around, which was in July, and basically wrapped up all of principal photography. But we have 3 more days of special effects shooting, which is going to be really cool. We're using a giant studio green screen, and we have Damian Fisher from LA flying out to do our special effects. He's a really talented guy. I don't know if we talked about him last year when I was on with you, but he has an incredible resume. If you haven't already, look him up. His name's Damian Fisher, and he's the mold supervisor for Legacy Effects. So he's basically built every Iron Man suit. He's worked on The Amazing Spider-Man and The Avengers and all of these crazy Marvel movies. But his real passion is these kind of like smaller projects where he gets to put his own creative input into the monsters and things like that. So he doesn't have, you know, boss man telling him like make Iron Man look like this or blah, blah, blah. This is like his whole world. He made these characters with our director and writer, Will Hoppins, who is just a very intellectual man and really brilliant and worked a long time on this script. It's very personal and very close to home for him. So the two of them are like this power couple of a team, making incredible effects for it, and this whole world of like psychedelic, weird horror stuff that goes on. But my character is never privy to it, not till basically like the third act of the movie. Shit gets real, and like, you know, the audience and all the characters start seeing the same kind of thing. So it's going to be really interesting when it all comes together, because we've shot the whole movie out of order. And it's like sometimes I forget, you know, what we've already done. We haven't. After a while, it's like everything's sort of just the same. So
this makes no sense. I mean, I've got a cut here in this one, but now I don't. What? Yeah.
Exactly. Or we'll like reshoot something because we found a better location, or, you know, that kind of thing. It's always a challenge though with continuity to like keep your appearance the same, and, you know, your hair the same length, and like all this kind of stuff, or like remember like what shorts you're wearing or what socks you had on and that sort of thing. So that was fun and challenging to figure all that out. But I'm just so excited for the world to see how beautiful North Carolina is in this movie, because the location shots that we've got are just, I mean, they're like the beauty shots of the film. They're going to make it with the budget. You know, the budget's really small on this, but basically it makes up for it in the gorgeous like sunrise shots we have in the mountain ranges and all of this amazing nature in North Carolina. It's shot all over the state.
That's the thing when it comes to your movies, whether it be, I mean, pieces of talent. You know, as much as we've talked about it on the show, this movie is so beautifully shot. Yeah. It makes you want to go to North Carolina because.
Why don't you come, Wolfie? I'm going to Seattle, but maybe we should just like flip flop and see each other's states, because North Carolina is gorgeous. Anybody who hasn't been here, just come. That's why I came back. It's like really that great. It's beautiful. But you make with the eye, you know, that can see it and capture it for what it is, and then the juxtaposition of that with the horror element, it just kind of adds this like really well-rounded thing to a movie that kind of just touches you in a way. And I think Beyond the Living is going to have a little bit of that you find in Pieces of Talent, which is really cool. And it's kind of what attracted me to the script, was that it wasn't just all like gore, weird stuff going on. You know? It was like, there's a really good story. There's awesome characters. It's actually really funny too. The dialogue, the you know, the jabbering and like all the joking between the three friends. It's like they've been friends forever. And, you know, the kind of things they talk about, it's just really funny. And a lot of it's improv. Like, we obviously know each other really well after like hiking for days and days and days and filming this movie. So my co-stars in the film, Devin McGee and Matt Gold, are just really gems of people to work with. Matt especially. Devin and I have known each other a long time and got cast in this together. We actually auditioned like side by side in a video audition. Yeah. But Matt, the other character who plays the best friend, he's from LA, and we only met him like one day before we started shooting last year. And the director, Will Hoppins, told us, don't worry, it will be really easy to work with Matt Gold. He's like the easiest person to fall in love with and get to know. Like, he'll be your best friend after an hour. And he wasn't kidding. This guy is just awesome. Maybe one day you can have him on here. He's got some really cool stories to tell, and he's just a really good guy. So we had a great time filming it, and I can't wait to do the special effects. It's something I've never worked on a green screen before at all. So this should be really, really neat and interesting.
So it's entirely shot in North Carolina. I mean, did you spend any time on the Appalachian Trail?
Yeah, which is in North Carolina, you know?
Well, I know. I just wasn't sure. I mean, I know that it travels through a bunch of states, so I wasn't quite sure.
It goes all the way from Georgia to Maine. But we were in North Carolina the whole time. I think in the entire film, even these last couple days, we're going to be on a soundstage in Raleigh, which is in North Carolina, and then they're traveling to Kill Devil Hills, which I was just there yesterday. It's about 5 hours from me now, but it's like Jockey's Ridge. It's the highest sand dune on the airplane for the first time, and they're going to shoot a part of a psychedelic dream sequence there, so it should be really neat. But that's also North Carolina. It's in the Outer Banks.
There's a lot of good films coming out of North Carolina.
What else have you heard about?
Oh, what was it? Well, Stomping Ground came out of there.
Oh, yes, my friend Jeremy is in that movie. I auditioned for it, but I didn't get in. But Jeremy Blackford, he was in the very first film I was ever in, called The Virgins, which we were just talking about a couple minutes ago. He plays the lead character in it. He's not the boyfriend, but he's like the guy who's gonna steal the girlfriend, nerdy dude. And he's a really excellent actor and a great guy to work with. So
it's a good movie if you haven't seen it.
See it?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, good, cool. I haven't watched it yet.
We had some of the cast on from it.
Cool, awesome.
But yeah, that's a really good movie. Another one of those movies that makes you want to go to North Carolina. People, go to North Carolina. Look, Christina.
Come on, I'll show you guys around.
She'll give you the tour of North Carolina. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
I'll give you like the horror film tour. We can show you all the places where all the different horror films were shot, and Pisgah National Forest and the Appalachian Trail, Wilmington and Jockey's Ridge. We'll just like do the whole tour. It'll be awesome.
Sounds like a blast. It really does. Got to get ready for the other show.
Oh.
I know. I could sit here and talk to you all day. I love talking to you.
Good to see you. You look great. It's been a year. Nothing's changed.
No, I got older.
I like your shirt. You match my chair. It's one of my favorite colors.
It's the color of the season.
Yeah.
But so, if people are looking for you, Kristi, where can they find you?
You can find me on my Facebook page. That is, you can just search on Facebook. You go at Kristi Ray Actress, or just type in Kristi Ray. It'll come in. My Instagram is Kristi Ray of Sunshine. My Twitter is Kristi Ray7. My website is KristiRay.net. And you can find me on imdb.com/Kristi Ray. It's a lot of my name over and over again.
Don't worry, I'll put the links in the description below so they can find you. Love having you on.
It's so good to see you, and thank you all for watching The 13th Wolfman. I'm Kristi Ray, and I love Wolfie, and I wish you all a very happy fall, and good night.
And with that, I'm the 13th Wolfman, and I'm on the prowl.